Justin, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, brother? Turn on your camera, man. Are you going to be shy today?
Here we go. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for the delay. It's funny. I wasn't really that busy. And then like 10 minutes ago, I had people asking for everything.
I promised myself that like around 9 o'clock, I was going to gather up some questions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Then I started answering some emails, and then it was like 9:50. I'm like, oh shit, I need to get some questions for this guy.
I, I know. I feel you. I'm the same way.
Man, how you doing today, man? How you doing after this weekend?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Had a great weekend with HSC. It was a blast.
I see you got some dance moves, man. I was enjoying watching you out of the corner of my eye.
I don't know. I don't know if I had any dance moves or not.
You got it, man. You got the rhythm.
The drink to believe I did.
Well, man, you know what, man? We totally appreciate you giving us a chance to talk to you, man. We've had a couple of special guests, and each one of them always gives us a nugget to take with us and that we can apply to our business right away,
Yeah.
Just to give you guys a little history, if you guys don't know Justin has a Facebook group called Medicare Gurus. I've had my Facebook group long before his. He started his maybe about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it's blown up to maybe about 3,500 members. We weren't aware that there was 3,500 Medicare agents doing, what we do, and it's been fantastic. I use it as a resource. There's just some super Medicare experts on that page, and I love jumping in there when I need something answered, really quick. So I take advantage of his page all the time. I met Justin for the first time, I think last June, at 8% Nation. He, in his Medicare Facebook group, he had offered a like one-on-one, kind of like a group setting, maybe more like a one-on-one. What do you want to call it? Just kind of brainstorm.
We called it the round table. Because I was trying to get it to like just 4 or 5, 6 people tops. But I find that's where I thrive the most. I'm trying to get better about stage presence and actually speaking to large crowds and delivering that way. But I think most people get the most out of me when it's just 3 or 4 people sitting around brainstorming. There's a lot of people in the industry that said that they get some of their greatest ideas from me just being in that small group setting. So I don't know. I think that's where I'm good. Sometimes I get on stage and I'm just like, a lot of people, But we're trying to change that at Masterminds. I want to bring the same level of value to a whole larger.
I'll tell you what I thought at first. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna pay this $197 to get his time. Ah, man, that sucks, But it was definitely worth it, man. What you told me about how you run, your agency. I called my wife right away and I told her, honey, I need to stop, thinking like a peasant. I need to start thinking like Justin. I need to grow my agency. I need to consider these LOA agents. And yeah, man, it's just been something that's been fantastic for me. Just being able to meet you, 6-7 months ago. And yeah, now we're here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
so what I like to do, man, when I'm training new agents is I want them to believe that I'm not blowing smoke up their butt. Like what I'm trying to say to them is genuine and real, right? And the only way for them to like kind of feel that is to know where I came from. So I give them my story of where I came from, what I went through and where I'm at now. So think about that for yourself. Tell us where you came from, what you're doing now and where you at. How'd you get to this point?
So I try to tell the story consistently so that there's no discrepancies in the way I say it, but I feel like I remember it differently every time. But yeah, I was, had a military background. My dad was an independent agent, was a successful independent agent. I never really thought that that's what I wanted to do, but after having a couple of kids, I wanted to get out and do something else. And I said, okay, I'm going to try, the insurance industry. And I had that little bit of a leg up because I knew that he had done well in it and at the kind of independent agent level. And so I came out and I just, let him kind of tell me what markets to get into. Well, he was the kind of guy back then that was just like meds up, plan F, move on to the next client. So that's how I started, was going out on direct mail routes, knocking on doors and, trying to get the neighbors in there and tell them, trying to save them money on their med stuff. Find the people with the plan F, change them to G. Find the people with expensive plan F, change them to a cheaper plan F. And I didn't know how to look for anything else at the time. But a couple of things started happening. First of all, Warren Market started asking me about health insurance, and I asked my dad, I'm like, what about health insurance? Oh, there's no money in that. But eventually I was like, I don't care. There's enough people asking me about it. I want to do that. So I started pushing, saying, well, I can help with health insurance. And then, on the Part D side, it was one of the things we evolved where we weren't even writing the Part D. We would just help them enroll on Medicare.gov. And I was like, well, we're already doing all the grunt work, so let's do that. So we started evolving things that way, where we started reaching out and doing more products. And it was really more me doing that at the time. Mm-hmm. Of course, it got pretty successful. We started realizing that, tearing down those myths that there weren't any money in these other markets. It was only med stuff. Then what happened is a couple of years in, I kind of got tired of the direct mail, route stuff. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Driving around in a Toyota Corolla, putting around, 1 hour one way, an hour the next way was not my thing. I was doing well at it, but it wasn't growing fast enough. So I started taking all kinds of online marketing courses, bought several of like Facebook courses, Dan Henry, all these different guys out there that I was looking into. And the cool thing is I was getting in on the cusp of Facebook advertising, like actual paid advertising, when there wasn't anybody doing it in Medicare. At the time, I didn't realize that I was getting into it that early. But I had a couple of really, massive seasons in Medicare from running early Facebook ads and using the educational video ad approach. Is the one I teach. And it kind of lit a fire, and it had a couple of other big breaks too. Like even when I was running the direct mail routes, where I found, AT&T retirees. Anybody that knows anything about the AT&T retiree with Medicare, it's a kind of a gold mine if you can get a bunch of them, because they get reimbursement money and they can buy their stuff outside. So I actually got to speak at some union meetings early on just by making those relationships. So I put a video on YouTube about that one. It's called Little Things Lead to Big Things. Talking about, treat every direct mail lead like it could be the one that gets you into a 72-person meeting where you end up writing 200 med stuff. Because that's what happened for us. But, it's always been about trying to think past where everybody else is, because with Medicare or with marketing, I think is, everybody asks me, what's working? Well, if I told everybody what was working right now, it wouldn't work anymore. You always have to think outside the box to think a step ahead. So where we've been really successful is, like, even with Facebook, I'm already starting to hedge into other things. Like I'm working on YouTube and organic Google and things that only a few people out there are actually working on. And that's what's making us, successful in it right now, is trying to stay out there. Now, we don't turn off the other things. Like if I'm still doing, I'm still running Facebook ads and things, but of course the return is not what it was, when I started, because there's more competition there. So, am I muted?
No, you're not muted. You're good.
Okay. So you were muted by us.
No.
It's always been about staying ahead, and then a couple of years ago, I started the Medicare Gurus things, actually about this time, 2018.
Was it 2 years ago? Okay.
Yeah, it was just at 2 years ago. And it started in March 2018. And we didn't really know what it was. The way that kind of came to be is I was active in some communities. I had not even heard of the hub yet, but I was active in some life insurance communities. People kept getting me involved in. And I don't know if everybody remembers that, but like 2 years ago, there was just this, ton of Facebook groups being created. Mm-hmm. And the hub was probably one of the really early ones, honestly. But there was.
I think I created it a year after. I think I've had it for like 3 years now.
Yeah. So, but there was a lot of final expense ones coming out in late 2017, and I was a part of a lot of them, but I didn't know a lot about it. But there weren't any Medicare ones, so I was answering Medicare questions in final expense groups all the time, and I guess I got known for answering a lot of Medicare questions. And so the guy that owned Final Expense Coach, who's not even in the industry anymore, was like, hey, you should start Medicare Coach and run that one, and we'll brand them together. So I was like, okay, I'll be an admin of a Facebook group. Well, he kind of got out of the business, and I bought the group out from him because it took off and became this great resource. And I kind of just decided, I've found a lot of, joy, if you will, as lame as that sounds, in helping agents as well as consumers. So we kind of, took off from there, and we've launched all kinds of programs. Now we're throwing the mastermind group. We go and talk to, HST, events. We talked at HFG events, other types of groups, and even do some work with carriers directly. And there's been a lot of opportunity. I've also kind of gotten known because we do a lot of cross-selling. We sell a lot more ancillary products than most, which I don't really even call it cross-selling. I think it's just covering things that other people are not effectively covering, especially in the Medicare market. In the health insurance market, there have been a lot more people doing, bundling, where they're actually creating a product that's comprehensive out of multiple products. But in Medicare, they were leaving a lot of uncovered things. They'd say, okay, MedSup drug plan, that covers everything. Or Medicare Advantage plan, that covers everything. Well, there's a lot of out-of-pocket potential with drugs. There are dental and vision. So we actually got into where we were selling more MedSup, cancer policy, dental, vision, and hearing, and drug plan, because that creates a really comprehensive deal for them. So people started referring to us as, being kind of on the forefront of bundling in Medicare, which I learned it from somebody else. So I try to give tribute back to the queen of the bundle, Galen Hendricks, and all that.
She's been here at the office and given us her queen of the bundle. She gave us her presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I got all excited when I got it. Yeah.
I was just fortunate to have learned that from her years ago. I think she's getting a lot of notoriety for talking about it now. But there are several of us that she's been pitching the concept to for a long time. I was just one that bought into it. I think a lot of people bought into it, but never really made the rubber meet the road, because it's just intimidating to try to break outside your comfort zone. But we've had her in the office, and I've had agents that were selling virtually zero cancer that she'd come in and give us a presentation, and next week they'd sell 10 or 12 cancer policies. It's just about knowing the need for it so that you can explain it to clients. And I think, like y'all had Sarah Lebb at HST, she got up there on stage the other day and was talking about bundling. It's like, she's not a trick or a gimmick. It's explaining the need for all of those products and being able to understand why they need them.
It's almost, there's no trick. It's just education. But the hardest part that agents have is just actually doing it, or asking, or showing it, or presenting it. When I first started in the under 65 market, I was selling a bunch of ACA stuff, bunch. And I never threw on like an accident policy or a dental vision. And, I never did that until I realized, like, man, I'm leaving all this money on the table, right? If I just offered it to somebody, I'd sell so many more policies. So
how many of those people were responding to a direct mail thing from Mutual of Omaha buying a cancer policy? How many of them were calling, Physicians Mutual from a TV commercial and getting their dental insurance, or another place? It's not like they weren't buying it because you weren't selling it. A lot of them were probably buying it. And I was the same way, because I was out there doing plan F, plan F, plan F, plan G, walking out. And I did that straight for probably a year before I was like, I would think back then, like a good week would be like, hey, I wrote 5 MedSups this week. And then fall of 2017, I wrote 72 apps in 1 week.
I see that.
I changed your mentality. And then I did over 100 in AEP in 1 week this year. It's all about, and a lot of people think that's very difficult, and it is difficult. I don't know 100 apps every week. Honestly, I don't even recommend it if you have to, but it's, if you have that many to write, you need to hire more people,
Are those 100 apps that you wrote personally, or did you have?
That's 100 apps I wrote personally. That same week, I think we hit close to 400 in my office, in this Tupelo office. So, not in my downline or hierarchy, 400 in my office with 4 active writing agents.
We're not going to spill the beans yet on the whole Medicare mastermind that's happening in a few months. let's go back to your marketing. I started learning the whole marketing thing about 3 years ago when Mary came on board and kind of freed me up a little bit to do some of the marketing stuff. I quickly learned there's a lot of stuff you can do with marketing, you know, and I'm trying to learn this all on my own. Like I'm trying to figure this stuff out, the Facebook stuff, the pixels, the YouTube, the copy, like the targeting, the retargeting, all that stuff is the kind of stuff that I've had to learn on my own. You said you've invested in yourself and in programs and coaches and things like that. Did you ever hire anybody to take that stuff off your plate? Because I'm feeling like, man, like I can't do it all by myself.
So I think you can hire out tasks like, you know, with our SEO side and our content marketing, we've like content by what I mean, copywriting.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to sit around and write articles. It's not my strong suit. Right. You know, Facebook ads, I think the biggest thing is people spend a lot of time and energy on targeting. And if there's a guy, Bobby Stocks on Facebook, that put up a picture the other day, and it was a guy, the guy is like the nerd that was sitting there detailed targeting, you know, all this stuff. And then it's a picture of a drawing of like the jock guy sitting back with his feet kicked up. And they had a bunch of details about him. And they're talking about how this guy's doing all this detailed targeting. He's tweaking campaigns all day, every day, trying to get the best ROI. And the other guy's like barely targeting at all and just pushing, you know, information out on Facebook. And it shows the return on investment, and the guy that's doing barely any targeting and not worrying about it and just never stops spending money is getting equal or greater ROI to the other guy. And the point is, most people overly think the details, so they spend a lot of time on that and make marketing more time consuming than it has to be. But I do believe in outsourcing things. Like I don't create my own website, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't have the design quality part of it down. You know, and when you get into Google and stuff, you know, you have to hire people to do that. So I think it's like this: you hire out certain small things. If I'm starting out by myself and I don't have a lot going on, you know, money wise at the time, I'm getting straight into things like Facebook marketing, because you can learn that and do it on your own. And then as you want to get into Google and content marketing and local SEO and even broad, you know, band national SEO and that stuff, you have to hire it out. And once you have enough money coming in, it may become cheaper just to hire your own agency or hire your own people and create an internal team. So one of the things we're working on right now is we started creating this internal team to take over a lot of stuff. And then we're going to pay for that team by actually working with some agents and building their website and helping them do it while they can't afford their own team. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you got to kind of get innovative. You know, if I have my own team, they're paying for themselves, helping 3 or 4 more agents on the side, and then they can do mine. I'm at a zero, you know, net cost on my own marketing team. You know, and that's just what we figured out, because outsourcing can get expensive.
Tell me if I'm correct. So going back to the picture of the nerd and the jock, right? I've learned that the details are good, but they're not as important as the content. Like just putting stuff out there all the time. Like that, in my opinion, I don't know, you tell me, that's always gonna give you a bigger ROI. Like ugly converts, just keep putting out content. Like Cody Askins did, you know, years back when he started doing his marketing. He said he probably made 150 videos in one day. They probably, in one year, they probably weren't polished. But the key was that you just consistently put out content, and that's what's going to give you the best ROI. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, it's consistency. You said it. Consistency is absolutely the most important factor. You know, as time goes on, I think it's good to put out some polished content. But if you go and watch Cody's, he's got some really high polished videos now, because they have Dylan that works for him, who's a awesome videographer, and they have a whole team, and they have a lot of resources they've built up. Again, a lot of the resources that service the core part of what Cody does are paid for by utilizing them to help other people too. So it's
by me.
it's a zero sum game. You know what I mean? Like he's, that's kind of a goal point, I think, for a lot of people. Like most large billion-dollar corporations own their own marketing agency. And they don't have to make money off the marketing agency, but if it breaks even and then services their own company too, then you have a free marketing team. But with his, you'll notice he'll still have videos where it's just like Ty Lopez style. He'll throw up stuff like that because ultimately it doesn't matter. People want to consume the information. They're not as worried about consuming, perfection. We like hype videos every now and then, but for the most part, they want information. My best performing videos on YouTube right now, by far, are interviews of interesting people. Best performing one I had is an interview of Medicare Bob, Robert Beige.
Yeah, the one you just put up probably about 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it performed amazingly right away. One of the top performing, first 2 week videos I've ever had, if not the. And you know what it is too? I interviewed somebody that hadn't been interviewed from an agent perspective before. So right now, I get another one that performed really well is interviewing Joe Trottola. And that's not because Medicare Bob or Joe Trottola are the most famous people in the world, but everybody that wants to see them interviewed there for a while had to go watch my video of it because I was the only one that had interviewed them. Now that'll probably change over time. But like if I interviewed, like if there was no interview of Carlos Polito and I interviewed you and put it on YouTube, there was no public interview of it, I throw that up there. Everybody that knows you.
You have to sign contracts. Justin.
NDAs. NDAs. But those do perform well. But what makes a video on YouTube, and this gets in the weeds a little bit, but what makes a video on YouTube perform well is having watch time. YouTube wants you to keep their viewers on the site. Mm-hmm. So that they can show them more ads and keep them going. So those interviews keep people engaged because it's information. Now, what we're doing right now, this Zoom, that's how I do most of my interviews. This is not anything special. Anybody can do this. You can be 65 years old, 70 years old, and learn how to do this. It's not.
I've been hoarding a couple interview videos that I've done over the past couple of years, but like last week, I made them public on my YouTube page. It's AgentandBrokerTraining.com or Agent and Broker Training. If you look it up on YouTube, I got like 2 handful of videos of people in the industry that I start picking their brain just like this. Yeah.
And then you take that video and you share it into a couple of groups that allow you to share content like that, and it all of a sudden it gets it. So, and that's maybe gaming the algorithm a little bit. When you have an audience, anytime that anybody gets into the agent community, there's a lot of people trying to get into the agent community and the agent help side. In the last 6 months, it's been, there were the original pillar guys that were doing it 5 and 10 years ago. There was only a few of them. They got mad when people like me and you started Facebook groups. And then now there's like just a slew of these guys thinking, and it's not like we're making a ton of money servicing the agent community. Honestly, I do it more for fun right now and hope that it, at least pays for itself. And I use it to also service my other mediums, like my YouTube channel gives me watch time, and then I put consumer driven videos on there, and that helps elevate them as well. So there's hidden calls there. But some of these guys that watch me and you doing stuff like this and think, I'm going to get into the service and agent community and make a fortune. Not that easy. So
you have multiple YouTube channels, right? You have the Justin Brock, and then you have another one, if I'm not mistaken.
I do it all under one.
Is it just Justin Brock?
Yeah, it's Justin Brock. So, and that's something I've, early on just kind of made the decision. I'm just going to put it on or all under one channel so that the rankings can be better. And I try to separate things into playlists so that in the recommended videos I control on to where it's not like an agent video is recommended to a consumer, and there's going to be some of that because the algorithm, you can't really predict what it's going to recommend. But, I haven't, in my videos, I try not to say anything that's bad anyway on the agent side. I mean, we're trying to help more people. I'm trying to train agents to be able to help more people and create a business out of that for them, which allows them to thrive and help more people. I mean, it's all, at the end of the day, it's help. So it all comes back to the consumer. And I think we're an underserved community, or we're an underdeveloped community of people. There's a lot more prospects out there that need help than there are agents, ready and willing and able to serve them. So So I don't think there's anything, out like even at the HST convention, we were talking about recruiting. Recruiting's not bad in the insurance community. You have to bring in new people and get them trained. Some of the recruiting practices out there might not be the greatest, but we need new agents. We need to train existing agents to do more. There's nothing wrong with that. So if a consumer sees my agent-driven video or an agent sees my consumer-driven video, I don't care as long as they're watching.
Let me ask you. Go back even farther. You're an agency owner now, and you were in the military before. What did you do before the military? Tell us about your first couple of jobs.
Oh gosh, I worked as a busboy at Applebee's and a host, and then I left there, went to Red Lobster for about a year and a half.
Ooh, Red Lobster, Valentine's Day. That's where we used to go.
So I did Red Lobster, and then I worked at Lowe's for a while in the paint department. I was mixing paint, and then it really wasn't long after that. I did 8 years in the Marine Corps, so I did a few of those jobs, and I actually would have went into. What's my cuckoo clock?
It sounds like you got 8 of them.
So I went into the Marine Corps at 19. I would have went in earlier, but I had a car accident and broken my foot really bad. But then I did 8 years in the Marine Corps, so that took up. I would have gotten out at 4, but I had my son, and when you first have a kid, and military is not paying you a fortune, but it's secure. So I stayed and did that for another 4 years. But it really did help me. I had a technical job in the military, so I worked on computers a lot, and it helped me, I think, with the marketing side a little bit, because I was very familiar with computers. I've been doing it for 8 years. And then it helped me too, because in the military, you climb ranks and you have teams, and you learn how to lead people in a way. And I'm probably, most people say that I don't act like I would have been in the Marine Corps, but that's how I was on the technical side. So I never was that guy that was just a jerk to anybody. I was always led by, trying to create a great friendly environment, but where still people knew that I was the boss, but they liked me being the boss, so I think it helped me a lot.
Are you the only guy in the world that has a cuckoo clock that cuckoos at a 10:30 or 11:30? Isn't it supposed to cuckoo like at the hour? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, it thinks it's 6 p.m. right now. So.
I was like, what the hell is the cuckoo clock cooking at a 10:30?
No, so my kids got it messed up on me a little bit. For some reason, I have to flick it to restart it, but I never fix the time on it. Just like a cuckoo and every now and then.
That's so funny, dude. Let's see, man. So how long have you been in the industry now? How many years?
Came in 2013. So
2013.
7 years. Beginning of 2013, so just a little over 7 years.
You've probably experienced a bunch of things, right? Ups, downs. Tell us something that you've tried, maybe like a landmine that you think that we should avoid.
So I would tell people, I have a video on YouTube called Starting from Scratch. Now, a lot of it's about Medicare, because I do believe Medicare is a great staple to build your business upon. It's level, it's long-term. Under 65 health is faster, but has more shelf in it. You know what I mean? Like after you get a book on there for a couple of years, you start having a service with rewrites and stuff a lot more than you do on the med stuff and MA side. But if I was trying to tell people things to avoid, I would avoid the shiny objects. In the beginning, there are marketing practices that work, for everyone. And I heard this from a guy a couple of years ago on marketing. He said, everything works a little, nothing works a lot. So that's 90% true. There are things that work a lot, but they only work a lot for a short period of time until everybody else figures out that they work a lot, and then everybody starts using them, and now they work a little. When the first guy out there to run direct mail leads is probably killing it, Nobody's doing it. The first person to cold call, like the Wolf of Wall Street era type, it was working. Now it's hard, very hard. First person to get into internet leads. I have a friend that got on Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia before anybody else was buying the leads on there. And he built his entire real estate business on it. And now he's so big, he's got plenty of referrals coming in. If you can hit that 10% of the time where you can get that, that's great. But if you're starting off, you can't look for that home run until you have something else paying the bills. So you don't want to go invest in something somebody says, this is it. This is the next Facebook boom. This is the next YouTube boom. This is the next direct, whatever it is. You go and invest, go ham in that, and it doesn't pan out. Now you're negative, whatever. I know a guy that's in my group that invested like $20,000 into telemarketers that were sold to him by somebody right away. And it was like telemarketers and seminar approach. Well, he invests in that concept, and he's 20,000 in the hole, and it didn't really pan out that quickly at all. And I'm not saying that those approaches don't work to some degree, but when you have to heavily invest in something in the forefront, it can screw up your potential to build a business. So slow and steady wins the race. It's a marathon, not a sprint in the beginning. Once you have some residual coming in, some business, and you've made it through a couple of years of Medicare, health insurance, life insurance, whatever it is, and you've built that business, then you can start looking for some home runs. Because if you invest in one, it doesn't pan out, you got your bills covered. You have your bases covered. And so, you get to the point where you want to invest in an idea, but you have to know, I'm willing to lose this money if it doesn't pan out. Don't go investing in home run ideas right away. Build a business on tried and true. Direct mail, internet leads, cold calling, all those really, really hard, shitty things to do. Plus, it's better for you in the long run to have had to earn it the hard way for a couple of years. Like, I'm glad, like, my dad was a good a successful agent early on, but like, I worry about if my son comes and works for us now, he can just walk in my office and sit here and close, great deals all day, and he doesn't really have to work that hard. So if I hired my son, when he is that age, I'm probably going to put him out on the road doing the hard stuff, cold calling. Every agent that I bring on, the first thing I do is I give them my oldest, crappiest internet leads and like, work these, find something in these, because if you can't do that, I don't think you're going to make it unless you're just very lucky, so I think that's.
I learned that the hard way. When I came back from 8% Nation a couple months ago, I was like, I'm gonna do this whole LOA thing, right? I'm gonna generate these leads for a few of my agents, feed them, and then we're gonna go half and half on everything,
Yeah.
on the commission for life. I quickly found out that there's no skin in the game when I do that. I'm just feeding them the leads here, there, and then they're not working them when they're supposed to, right? They don't know how hard it is to get to this point where you can, start generating the leads and spending the money and, what it took to get there. And these leads shouldn't be taken for granted,
Yeah.
So
you've already paid for the leads, and then they're
just working them.
Yeah.
They're just working them. And it's like, barely working them. I was hoping that they would just go at it every day and work them. And they were just like, this lead's been sitting in here forever. You're not working it. It's like, man, I can't do this. I'm spending too much money. We had to borrow money to not lose a home to get to this point. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff where, man, if a lead came in, I'd be trying to close it, 12 times a day or something,
Yeah. I think that on the LOA side, you have to have them right there in your office with your thumb on.
Yeah, I learned that.
You got to have, I have a lot of people that do virtual, but they stay smaller because it's really hard to find agents who are as dedicated to the craft as you are. And I have a good friend that, I won't name drop him because he might not want to be. He's pretty quiet about what he does, but he has a really good lead source, but he can't close them all himself. So he has about 3 or 4 virtual agents. They work from their home. But like, it's always like, he's always having to let one go. And it's like, he's got 1 or 2 that are just awesome. But then those 1 or 2 are so good. And this is, you read Chet Holmes, The Ultimate Sales Machine book, talks about,
I can barely read.
Well, it'll help. It's written at like, a little like how Donald Trump talks to people,
Okay.
So everybody can understand.
Okay.
Genius marketing, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's
6th grade level
marketing. Yeah.
People are like, he's not saying smart things. I'm like, most people aren't smart. I don't know what to tell you.
That's why the newspaper is written like at a 3rd grade level or something.
Yeah, it's true. I actually watched a video on that as a marketing guy talking about Trump is like, why he's done so well is because he gets up there and he talks to people at a level that the median threshold can easily understand. These people that get up there and try to say smart things, most people are like, you hate America.
So that's 100% true. It's crazy.
So, I think that, those are things that I would avoid. Shiny objects, once you can invest in them, there's always premises to scale, and, with the big LOA shops too, like really large IMOs, what they do on their leads when they put people in LOA for free leads or cheap leads or whatever, they're giving them B and C leads that they already own. So like you get an agency that's been around for a long time, they have a lead bank of hundreds of thousands of leads. Well, they have them sitting there, and what they'll do is just let people download, unlimited amounts of them and go run them. And a lot of people are like, oh, you can download the whole lead bank. Well, most of those guys aren't working them. They might go download 100, work 20, and when they sell enough, they're like, all right, I'm going to the bar. I see these guys are like, make 6 figures, work 3 days a week. Is that why you're in insurance? Like make $100,000? Because
you can barely survive on $100,000.
That's not why I got into it. $100,000 is, it's not what it used to be. The $100,000 six figure myth about that being like the made it thing, like started in the 50s, and 60s. Back then, you made 100,000 in 1955. You're doing really good.
I was buying comic books at maybe 80 cents when I was younger, and now they're probably $6.
Yeah, everything is so much more expensive. So that means we need 600,000 at least coming in, right?
Yeah. Talk to me about. There's a lot of people on the internet that say Medicare Advantage is bad. There's a negative connotation to the Medicare Advantage space. Your dad, you guys started doing the Medicare supplements. You guys are now doing Medicare Advantage. Yes, no?
Yeah, we're doing a pretty good bit of it now, but we still take a med sup first approach.
Do you steer them? You take a med sup approach, like this is the better option, but there's also this option, or do you give them like the good, bad, and ugly about both?
I'll equate this to under 65 as well. We try to take the approach that if I'm picking out my own plan, this is what I do. And then we peel the onion back based on other information that's uncovered in that process. So with Medicare, it's leading Medicare supplement, and telling them this is the difference in Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplement. Yes, Medicare supplement, you're going to have higher premium, but you can go to any doctor you want to. You have less out-of-pocket potential. You go on the Medicare Advantage side, you have less money up front, but a higher out-of-pocket potential. Plus, you're having to participate in their network. It's managed care. They're going to deny more claims, most likely. And you might not ever see that. You talk to somebody that's really healthy and they love their Medicare Advantage plan. It's always on the backside when they have to go into an assisted living facility or they need an MRI that the Medicare Advantage plan tells them they don't think they need. That's when they're having trouble with it. So we just try to lead like just how I would enroll my mother, and then if they still are like, I can't afford that, we try to peel it back to plan G, plan N. Then when they start getting below that, we're like, well, there is this, the Medicare Advantage option. We look at that, and then we try to fill in as many of those gaps as we can with hospital indemnity, cancer policies and things, because there is a higher out-of-pocket potential. But the biggest reason we try to steer away from it is the managed care claims denials and network. And just because it's a PPO doesn't mean everybody will accept it. You can have a PPO in a hospital that's like, we don't take that. We're not going to file it. Go away. That actually happens here with a certain company. I won't name the name. But so that's the way we do it. But we do that the same way on under 65. When you look at under 65 for us, we lead ACA. I mean, I know I get different views on this, but of course, we'd rather write things that are going to pay us better. But if ACA is better for somebody, that's what we're going to write. So we lead in and we go through, we use Health Sherpa, like a lot of people do. We're going through Health Sherpa and we're trying to pick it out. And we say, okay, based on your income and all this, Obamacare plan is going to cost this much. And honestly, a lot of times that helps us find their budget. because if they get those people that it's really expensive and it's like, oh, that Obamacare plan's gonna be $900 a month. I really was looking for something, less than that. I was like, well, how much were you thinking it was going to be or less? And they're like 600. And they're like, well, and then we're coming over here and it gives us something to work with to keep it in their budget. And so it's the same way to us. But if Obamacare comes out and I'm like, yeah, this is a good deal, and I'll now you still have some people that say, I don't want to deal with Obamacare, or I don't know what my income's going to be. Of course, we'll go the other route. And the same thing with Medicare. You have people that come in and with the med stuff, and it's like, I just don't ever go to the doctor. I don't want to pay that med stuff premium. Okay, well, you can have Medicare Advantage. You still have a cap on what your out-of-pocket is each year. Without that and just Medicare, you have no cap on your out-of-pocket. So we at least need to establish the cap and keep you from getting penalized for not having drug coverage. And then, we go that route when that's what they want. But there's the one steering to our Medicare Advantage sales. We're not steering to that. Now, if it's not an option at all, if they come in and they never got a med sup and they can't get underwritten, we're having to go straight to Medicare Advantage. I'm like, well, here's Medicare like you have. You can't get a supplement the way you want to, but there are Medicare Advantage plans that you can get. So it's not for us steering. It's just educating them what their options are and telling them the legitimate pros and cons.
This is what I would do for myself.
Yeah. And then if they don't want to, that's why we sell a lot of med sup. But it's gotten to the point now where because of ineligibility, under 65 Medicare, cost aversion. People just have an unrealistic expectation of what their Medicare costs should be because the Medicare Advantage pushing agent sold them a zero premium plan from the get-go. And now they think, why would I pay for a med stuff? I've always had this zero premium. They've psychologically kind of screwed them up when if I would have talked to them first, they'd be perfectly okay with the med stuff premium. And some people are like, well, these guys, they're barely not on Medicaid, so they're not buying med sup, they're Medicare Advantage prospect. And I'm like, you deemed them that way. You didn't educate them on their options first. You just decided based on their income, if you were that poor, you'd be a Medicare Advantage prospect. But that's not really fair to them because they might have their house paid off, they might have their cars paid off, they might have a 401k put back, and then maybe they have a really low income and they're barely avoiding Medicaid. But they might really value using a higher chunk of that money towards their health care. Maybe health care is the most important part of their budget right now. So I think that people should still take an educational approach. And another thing is if they took that approach and they educated them on those options better, there'd be a lot less complaints,
for sure,
CMS regulation violations. And then CMS would probably leave us all alone if the people weren't out there actually educating people.
You get better night's sleep too, man. All the above. Let me ask you your sales process. So I've seen the time-lapse videos of the office. Wait, first, do you have retail space or do you have office space?
I was just like retail. I talked to call center guys and I'm like, we got 3,000 square feet. And they're like, man, how many people do you have in there? And I'm like, about 9. And they're like, oh my gosh, we'd have 80 people in that office. It's not the way we do it. It's a retail style space.
You get a lot of walk-in traffic because of
it's like an Edward Jones office or a Merrill Lynch, kind of like financial advisor approach, but to Medicare, which has helped us do annuities and things as well. So
that's where the big money is at. That's something that I need to get into. My friend Ernesto and Jesus that are probably on this call, they do a lot of the annuity stuff. But let me ask you this. Going back to the sales process, I saw the walk-in traffic, awesome time lapse video you have out there. Doing business over the phone in different states. Do you do things like this? Do you do the screen share or no? Or
we had always talked about the screen share, but we ultimately shied away from it. So most of the people that we're talking to over the phone now with mother's maiden name signatures and stuff like that, the screen share is not required for a part of it.
What about when you're trying to educate the client about, Medicare option number 1, option number 2, no visuals for them, just all over the phone?
No, and now if we got further outside of our area, so most of our out-of-state leads, like our out-of-area leads, are on referrals because we try to coach our clients into referring us their relatives that are out of state and from Google and organic, okay? If they found you, they're a little more comfortable just with the audio conversation. if you're cold calling out of state, or cold calling out of your area, or cold calling in your area and nobody knows who you are, I'd see that being more of a necessity, because it helps get people comfortable with who you are and that you're not like some kind of scumbag trying to take them for a ride. The leads that we're typically working, we've used so much, so many multimedia type of ads, print ads, that they've typically seen us a couple of places already or been referred to us. And so at this point, there's not a lot of closing involved. I mean, we have the true laydown leads. Now, the hard part of that is replicating it to scale, because you can only create so many actual laydowns. So in the off season, we are calling more leads. We're developing the Facebook leads, but we still try to develop them in areas where people know the brand that we've created. They know my face, or they know somebody in here's face that we put out there, or they know our name. That's helped us a lot with closing over the phone. And we do a lot of phone. Now in AEP, we don't do as much over the phone, because what's happened is, by having this retail office and slowly over time, more and more people coming in, AEP, now we're getting just bombarded with more and more people. And it's, you would think that a lot of them are rewrites or people shopping and stuff, but we did about, I think it was like 22% rewrites during AEP. So it was like 78% new business, and a lot of them are coming in for like a drug plan, but once you get them in, you find out they're on MA, or they have their med stuff they're overpaying for. You can rewrite them other things. I've even had people come in with an $85 drug plan. They needed to be on a $13 drug plan. You write somebody a drug plan and you just save them $62, $700 a year. Sell them a $35 cancer policy with it. Tell them, hey, with drugs, with your Medicare, you have that 5% unlimited coinsurance on cancer drugs that are up to $23,000 a month. We can, make sure you have some coverage for that, out of pocket. So now so I think that's something that people didn't understand, is like, you could take a drug plan appointment and have so many of these people that are saving so much on the drug plans right now going down. You can actually cross sell on drug plan savings, and it all goes into the same arena. There's a need for it.
I'm contemplating, man. We've been shopping around for office space, and we're thinking office space, or commercial space, or retail space. And I'm always up in the air, like, man, Justin's got a retail space. I should get retail space too. Medicare Bob has retail space. I should get retail space too. But they're just a lot more expensive, man.
What's funny is Medicare Bob's got retail space, but he uses it like office space. He's creating like a kind of a walk-in type of situation. We've been talking about it. I was like, you need to do some walk-in.
He doesn't have the walk-in traffic at the moment.
No, he's talking about trying to create more of it on the side, but his is all like office space. But he ended up getting, I think he has a better deal on his retail space than he was going to get on like that same size office space. Because it depends on where you get it, Yeah. I've seen.
Let me get mine in the hood so I can get it for like $5 a square foot.
But then just sell zero premium Medicare Advantage.
Hey, we only got a few minutes with you left, man. So let's talk about this Medicare Mastermind, man. What's this all about, and what gave you the idea, the inspiration? Where can we get tickets, man?
Well, we anytime you develop an audience, you think, well, how can I serve this community, and how can I do it without doing things that other people are already doing? I don't want to replicate what somebody else is doing. That's already a served niche. And the mastermind for Medicare specifically wasn't something that's being done. There's a MedSup conference, but the MedSup conference was designed for IMOs and actuaries and companies. And now they have the free agent day and stuff, but it's more or less they're doing the free agent day to get the agents in to try to try to sell more booths to people who are trying to recruit or sell a software program to an agent. Okay. Ours is not designed for that. The entire content of the mastermind is designed on selling opportunities, agency building, retail building, brick and mortar building, call center building, direct mail route building, whatever you're wanting to do and however you're wanting to scale. We're trying to keep it Medicare agent and agency building focused for the entire duration of the conference. It is about the agent and the agency owner. It's not about the vendor. It's not about anybody else. We have a few sponsors, but we kept it to carriers. I decided this year I didn't want vendors. I didn't want people there to sell you anything. We may do that in the future. I don't know, because it's not the end of the world. We're all salespeople. If somebody tries to sell you something, you can say no.
Yeah.
But I wanted it about the building of the agency and the agent. So that was just something that I think has, and also when I floated the idea, there were people in every like sector of the niche, like every little niche that would complement or directly impact the agent or the agency owner. There were people who were willing to come speak for free. They just wanted to come and be part of it. And so I was like, well, we already got the resource. We got the community. Let's bring them all together and make it the Medicare Gurus Mastermind. So that's what we did. And the response is great. And the tickets are sold out. We have a waiting list because we were trying.
Sold out?
Yeah, it really sold out. Now we were talking to the hotel about configuration of seating and if we could fit 10 more into the conference room so that we can open up 10 more tickets. But right now it's technically sold out.
What we can't get a bigger venue? We can't get another space in the hotel to.
I'm
everybody down here is going to want to go, right?
I'm working on it. If you want to go, you can email me or message me on Facebook, and I'll have you on my waiting list. And if we open it up and we get 10 more spots, you'll be on the top of the list. I got a couple people on that list already.
Are you gonna open up the recording again sometime, maybe closer to the event?
It's open right now. You can buy the recording and the thumb drive that everybody in attendance gets. It is $197 right now.
Where can we get it?
You can go, it's in the Medicare Gurus group on it's in an announcement on there. There's a big link with a picture of a green thumb drive.
It's not on justinbrock.net. Can we?
No, it's on justinbrock.clickfunnels.com/re.
I see.
Rerun or record or something like that. I can't remember the link. I need to host it on the regular site.
Tell us about some of the guests that are going to be speaking. Can you tell us quickly?
Yeah. We got Pete Fournier. He's president of sales of IFG. He's like an advanced market life guy. Ricky Ballard is going to sell. He's doing direct mail, mostly Medicare Advantage and some MedSup, and running a team. And his first year, they hit like 1,000 MA plans doing that. Wow. We got Eric Fierro is going to talk about MedSup to MA transition, lead development, Medicare Bob that we've already been talking about. Galen Hendricks, Queen of the Bundle, is going to be there. There's going to be more people there that are part of it that aren't necessarily speaking that are going to be great to be in the room with.
You know how important this is to me? I'm going to tell you. And my wife is going to smack me over the head because we had a Disney trip planned like that cut into the Medicare Mastermind. And I'm like, honey, you have to schedule that thing out. You have to schedule it for a different day because I gotta go to this. You know?
Right. I understand, man. I've had a lot of objections, and I'm like, I'm sorry, this is the time we did it this year.
She was so mad, man. I was like, I got you. I don't know what you're gonna do. Go to Disney and I'll meet you there or something. You know. One last question, Justin.
Yeah.
If did you turn off your camera or what happened?
I don't know. Did it go off?
Yeah, you turned off your camera. At least I don't see it anymore.
I don't know what happened. It says it's on.
Yeah, whatever. Let's say start. Ask to start video. I don't know. Anyways, if you could reincarnate any kind of animal, what would it be?
If I could reincarnate, is this something you ask everybody?
No, I think I might have asked it once.
Is this like a list of like Steve Jobs style questions?
No, I don't. I heard it somewhere. I think Chael's running or something. I don't know.
Okay, if I could reincarnate any animal.
If you could reincarnate into any kind of animal.
Reincarnate into an animal.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, which animal is extinct?
No. If you came back as an animal, what would it be and why?
Okay. If I came back as an animal, I would let's see here. I would reincarnate as, you don't want to say something cliche like a lion.
Yeah. I want to be a turtle. I just want to be lazy as hell.
I guess like a
I want
dolphin.
to be lazy as hell and live forever or something.
I feel like dolphins are really smart and they don't have to do anything but swim around all day.
That's it,
They
man.
can kick sharks' asses in packs. So.
That's it. That sounds fantastic. Well, dude, man, I really appreciate the time, man. It's been a blessing for me to know you and get to meet you, man.
Likewise.
I'll keep enjoying the Medicare Gurus page. If you guys don't know, I think Facebook.com/Medicare Gurus or Guru.
Actually, here, I'll put it in here.
Okay.
/groups/Medicare Coach.
Is that what it is? Yeah, you haven't
Like
changed
that because originally it was Medicare Coach.
that fucking Google plug. It's
It always goes off at 10:58.
why it goes off at 10:58 and it goes off at the 30s, man. Have you ever read the book? What's that book called? The House with the Clock in Its Walls.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, it's about this magician hiding a magical cuckoo clock in his house, and the house is magic or something.
I'm gonna put real quick into the group that link to the recording for people that can't go because it is. I wanted to make sure I had it right.
You're finding the link and you're gonna post it here in the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
What is that link? Come on, give me the juice.
The House with the Clock in Its Walls. That's your office.
Wow, that's a long link, but I'm gonna put it in here to see if it works. JustinBrock.clickfunnels.com/
Before we let him go, we got another minute with him. Does anybody have any questions for Justin? Don't be shy. Anybody?
Pre.
Unmute yourself and ask a question.
Order.
Hey, Carlos, this is David.
What's up, Dave? How you doing, man?
Good. Justin, first of all, I appreciate Justin's time and his, contribution to our training group here. It's great. I know he works with a lot of agents. What seems to be the most challenging thing you find in agents, especially new agents coming on board? What's one thing that they most often have to overcome?
Most often have to overcome. Let's see. Probably, and I posted something about this just on my profile the other day. I see a lot of agents telling me, oh, if I had more training, I could do such and such, and I think that they're a lot of them are wanting to be handheld to it. I even had agents in our hierarchy that are just like, that we've flown places to train, recorded videos on specifically what they're looking for, and they're still like, I need more training, and I think if you go on YouTube, there's a plethora of training already out there, in various senses. Somebody said that Rink was one, and not just from me, but from all kinds of people. So I think a lot of people just need to get outside their own head and start just doing it. They can't get over that hurdle of just do it. Just get out there and do it. You know what I mean? Get out there and try something until it fails or works. They want, what they really want is to be in the room while other people are selling, so that they can learn how to mimic exactly what that person's doing. That's what I believe anyway.
Okay.
But that's something we see a lot of, I think, is people that are just probably think they need more, but they really just need to try what they've already learned until they fail. I mean, I didn't start in a way that, my dad did everything, but the first, I didn't have to go out with him on appointments to start selling. He said, he basically said, hey, you're starting, so I'll split some direct mail costs with you, and you just go out and you got your license, and here's the Medicare and U book. Go sell them supplements. And I just went out and started doing it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
At some point, I think people just got to kind of go out and
Dive right in.
Let's do it.
yeah,
Make the mistakes.
fail,
Appreciate it, Justin.
succeed, do it all.
If anybody wants the link to the recording, somebody said that the page was not available. If you want to send it to me, Justin, and if you guys want to reach out to me, I can send it out to you.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to pull it up in ClickFunnels right now. I still use even though we have all this site, sometimes it's easier for me to throw up a ClickFunnel because I do know how to do that pretty well.
Yeah.
So I still do that a lot.
So my wife has a little dolphin hanging on the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
In the car. Now every time I think about it, I'm gonna think about you, man.
You should.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. I don't want to take up another hour of your time, man. I totally appreciate you, and we'll be in touch, man. Just like always.
All right, buddy. I just sent that link. That one should be the right one.
Okay, the pre-order link. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, just last pre-order. I couldn't remember what I put after the ClickFunnels part.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you
guys. Thank you for having me, man. It's been fun.
No, man. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Justin.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.